As climate change accelerates globally, countries like Ghana, who have contributed least to the crisis, are being asked to rethink their dependence on fossil fuel. Right here at the Palms Hotel in Accra, policymakers and climate change leaders are meeting to discuss what a just transition from fossil fuel should look like.
Delivering his keynote address at the high-level dialogue on the global just transition and the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative, the Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability, Honorable Seydou Issoufou, said Ghana has consistently positioned itself as a voice for climate ambition anchored in equity.
While we have the Paris Agreement to guide emissions reduction, there is so far no global framework designed to manage the orderly, equitable, and well-financed phase-out of fossil fuels themselves. This is the governance gap at the heart of today's discussion. Many African countries today spend more on servicing debt than investing in health, education, or climate action. Ghana exemplifies this challenge, simultaneously investing in adaptation and resilience while facing high borrowing costs and fiscal constraints. This underscores why fair finance and debt justice are not optional. They are central to whether a just transition is achievable at all. The Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative, as will be presented in today's materials, is not a negotiated legal instrument. It is a call for countries to come to the table to shape what such a framework could look like.
President of the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative, Kuminedu, urged African countries to reject narratives that frame the continent as weak or dependent. He stressed the need for Africa to assert leadership in shaping global transition frameworks that reflect its development priorities.
We are also carrying the very heavy weight of a crisis that we do not create. The historical emissions, if you look at it, and even today, we contribute less than 4% of the problem. By the way, we must always push back when people in the global north describe us as poor. Africa is the richest continent underneath the ground. That is precisely why we are one of the poorest continents above the ground, which is what the analysts call the resource curse. But Africa is also the home of the highest renewable energy potential in the world, nearly 40% of the global share. Let us be very clear. We are not asking rich nations for charity. We are saying you built your economies on fossil fuel extraction, you built it on colonialism, you built it on imperialism, and what we are asking you to do right now is to pay your climate debt. We are not asking for charity. We must be very, very clear that we are asking you to pay your climate debt. And also, what's the beauty of it is we're not asking them to do something that's not in their own interests. It is absolutely in the interest of every nation in the world, including the global north, to support financially countries like Ghana and all of us in Africa, so that ultimately we will not be all getting in boats and going to Europe to be seeking refugee because it damaged our lives here so much that we have no option.
The conversation also focused on ensuring that Africa's transition away from fossil fuel is properly financed and fair. Seblé Samuel is head of Africa campaigns and advocacy at the Fossil Fuel Treaty Initiative.
Most of the companies, the fossil fuel companies operating on this continent, are headquartered outside of the continent. So a lot of the wealth is siphoned out. You can think of companies such as Shell, BP, Chevron, Total. Those are over 60% of the companies operating in Africa are headquartered outside. The wealth is siphoned back out. So there's this new scramble for our resources. We don't want to have that replica. And the power of renewable energy is that it's decentralized, it's cooperative, and everyone can have access. So we know we have this potential. We have 60% of the world's best solar resources, 40% of the best renewable energy potential. That is the future we want to harness for our people.
Well, discussions here will go beyond today. Ghana's participation in shaping a global fossil fuel phase-out framework could not only influence its energy future, but also amplify Africa's voice in global climate governance. For JoyNews, I'm Noella Kariniali.